Every few years, Ariana Grande seems to have a new identity. How she looks, acts, and talks today is entirely different than the person she was just a few years ago.
You are a Capricorn and like to follow the world of astrology, yes?
I know people love that. People love that, and that's why people don't like my shows.
When we get to our hotel rooms, do you have any weird habits?
Come together and share stories and, hang out.
Not only did she lose a concerning amount of weight for her recent Disney movie, but she also would get overly emotional during interviews, grabbing tightly onto her co-star for protection or bursting into tears when asked simple questions.
In what ways the person sitting next to you changed you for good?
Oh my gosh.
Considering how famous Ariana is, she's quite mysterious. On the surface, she appears to be a sweet girl's girl who has suffered a tremendous amount of trauma. But when you dive a little deeper, the cracks in the facade begin to form, and you start to notice a pattern of destruction surrounding Ariana, which always ends in her getting more successful and rich. Today we are going to uncover who Ariana Grande actually is, and what she is continuously trying to hide. But it all could stem from the darkness she was subjected to on the set of Nickelodeon, because she worked for the infamous Dan Schneider, a TV executive with allegations of horrific crimes against children on set. Dan Schneider was the most powerful producer and showrunner at Nickelodeon during their early 2000s peak. He created countless iconic shows such as All That, Kenan and Kel, The Amanda Show, Drake and Josh, Zoe 101, iCarly, and his last home run series was Victorious, where Ariana Grande earned the role of Kat Valentine. Victorious is about a girl who attends a performing arts school and aspires to be a famous singer. In 2010, iCarly and Victorious were the top 2 live-action shows on Nickelodeon, helping the network maintain its 16-year status as the #1 network on all of cable. Victorious aired from 2010 to 2013 through 4 seasons, winning Favorite TV Show at the 2012 and 2013 Kids' Choice Awards, as well as 4 Emmy nominations. Simply put, this show was the big break Ariana needed to have a successful career in the entertainment industry, but working with Dan Schneider may have scarred her for life. Before the show premiered, Nickelodeon Productions partnered with Sony Music Entertainment to co-produce the series and develop talent to release their music. Ariana was the perfect addition to the show due to her amazing singing capabilities. She was actually so good that she didn't get much screen time performing because evidently the producers didn't want her to outshine their main character, Victoria Justice. Instead, Ariana's role in the show was the airheaded girl who says literally anything that is on her mind. Perfect for Dan Schneider to take advantage of and insert his infamous creepy innuendos.
Sometimes I wonder if you can get juice from a potato. Is it possible for a teenage girl to drink water upside down? I'm thirsty! It's not possible! This has been me in a video! Come on! Give up the juice!
This clip of Dan behind the scenes has been dissected many times over the years, where Ariana and Elizabeth Gillies seem visibly uncomfortable due to Dan's presence.
That was one of the better things I've ever heard.
Hey!
Hi, what's going on here?
Nothing. You didn't cut out that part.
Why are you sitting on the floor of the set?
Because we are!
Ariana is constantly looking around, covering up her body, and nervously starts singing as Dan towers over her. Many in the comments speculate that Liz started causing distractions so Dan wouldn't do whatever they seem to be afraid of. We also have this clip of Dan barging in on one of Ariana's voiceover sessions, where she can be seen nervously laughing and literally hiding from him as he approaches her.
Stop giggling. Take 4.
Okay. What did the young shrimp say when his mom asked him why he wouldn't share any of his toys?
No. No, that sounded like this. It sounded like, okay, what did the young shrimp say when his mom said he wouldn't share any of his toys? Try it again. but more cat-like.
But before we dive deeper, privacy online is becoming more important than ever. Every time you are browsing online, your device is transmitting information out into the open, and most of us don't think about it, but that information can be visible to third parties along the way. That's why I'm happy to tell you about today's sponsor, Private Internet Access, or PIA VPN. I personally use a VPN whenever I'm on public Wi-Fi, whether that's in a hotel, airport, or cafe. Public networks aren't always secure, and PIA creates an encrypted tunnel for my connection, which helps protect my data and keeps my browsing activity private. It also hides my IP address, adding another layer of privacy. PIA has a strict no logs policy, meaning they don't store your activity, and they're one of the most transparent VPN providers out there. Another benefit is unlocking more content to watch. Some websites and services are only available in certain locations. With servers in over 91 countries, PIA lets you connect to the region you need and watch whatever you like with just the click of a button. It works on Windows, Mac, Android, iOS, Linux, and more. With one subscription, you can connect unlimited devices at the same time, so your whole household is covered. Signing up is risk-free with their 30-day money-back guarantee and 24/7 customer support. Go to piavpn.com/PatrickCC to get 83% off. That's only $2.03 a month plus 4 months free. By 2012, it had been nearly 2 decades of Dan Schneider's reign at Nickelodeon, and media outlets finally began questioning the deeper intentions of his children's TV shows, specifically pointing out the sexual nature of Victorious. Those designer threads often have an adult sexiness that unsuccessfully straddles the line between tasteful and trampy. While guys are allowed to be quirky and weird looking, girls are uniformly cast from the same Bratz doll mold. Meanwhile, you had Dan writing about Ariana's character on his blog that said, "But what Kat does in this scene is a special variation of the spit take, where the liquid just falls out of her mouth. Yes, this is what I do for a living. I analyze the various kinds of spit takes. Not a bad job." Despite the seemingly endless amount of evidence, no adults were investigating or challenging Dan's behavior. Ariana wasn't going to speak up because he had the power to change her life. And in 2013, it was finally her turn to be the next face of a new Dan Schneider series. However, that show would get cancelled after only 1 season. In 2013, iCarly was officially over and Victorious was scheduled to end a few months later. Schneider decided to kill 2 birds with 1 stone and make a dual spin-off for both shows. He took a fan favorite from iCarly in Sam Puckett and a fan favorite from Victorious in Kat Valentine and created a teen sitcom titled Sam and Kat. The premise of the show revolved around the unlikely friendship of Sam and Kat, who meet and become roommates in Los Angeles while starting their own babysitting business to make ends meet. The pilot debuted on Nickelodeon to 4.2 million viewers and was surprisingly popular despite being a spin-off that was clearly inferior to its original shows. At the time of filming, Ariana's music career was just starting to take off. Her newest single, The Way, featuring Mac Miller, peaked at number 9 on the Billboard Hot 100, and according to her co-star Jeanette McCurdy, she was constantly missing from the Nickelodeon set.
My co-star Ariana Grande is a burgeoning pop star who misses work regularly to go sing at award shows, record new songs, and do press for her upcoming album, while I stay back and angrily hold down the fort.
Jeanette would later reveal that she was jealous of Ariana. She said, "Every time something exciting happens to her, I feel like she robbed me of having that experience myself. And every time someone calls me a good sport, all I feel is how much I don't want to be one. Ariana misses work in pursuit of her music career while I act with a box. I'm pissed about it, and I'm pissed at her, jealous of her." In case you're wondering, one episode of Sam and Kat was based around Kat getting trapped in a box, and Sam spent the whole episode trying to get her out. The writers had to come up with a weird episode idea because Ariana was busy with other obligations and couldn't be on set to film. Additionally, at this time, Jeanette posted this strange Vine calling out Dan.
"Hey Dan Schneider, I know you're watching my Vine. Do you like my Vine? Fine. Look what you've done to me."
Considering she would speak out against him 10 years later, we now know he was really making her crazy. The question is, did Ariana know about this? In Jeanette's 2022 memoir, Schneider was mentioned solely as the creator. She wrote that the creator took her out to dinner, where he encouraged her to try alcohol for the first time and gave her a shoulder massage. The creator is doing the thing that I've heard from my co-stars he does with every new star of a show that he's making. He takes you under his wing. You're his favorite. But did Did Dan do the same thing to Ariana? Was Ariana missing shoot days as a form of escape, doing everything she could to have a successful music career so she wouldn't need her job at Nickelodeon? Or was she getting special treatment? Maybe Ariana had a great relationship with Dan Schneider, because rumors started to circulate that Ariana was getting higher pay than Jeanette, and Ariana really felt like she had to respond to this. She said, "As far as the show goes, I don't know what's happening because I'm not directly involved with the problem, but I just wanted to address this one rumor in particular because I am not making more money than my co-star, nor do I think I should be," she told her 14.3 million Twitter followers. "So we can all move on and get out of our heads that this was a money thing, because I don't play like that at all. I am, have always been, and always will be about equality and fairness." She then sent a now deleted vague tweet reading, "Love you, and don't want you being in the dark about work-related things like this. Thank you for caring and supporting through and through." Since the two lead stars were having somewhat of a public feud, rumors persisted that there would not be a second season of Sam and Cat, and that would become true. Not only was Jeanette fed up with and ready to escape the control of Dan Schneider, but Ariana had just released her first album, Yours Truly, which peaked at #1 on the Billboard Hot 200. She was about to release a handful of singles that would undoubtedly secure her a spot as a mainstream pop sensation. Simply put, Ariana did not need Nickelodeon anymore, and she posted a long farewell letter to Twitter. "I want to thank Nickelodeon for making a childhood dream of mine come true, for being a family to me, for being so accommodating and supportive of my multitasking with my music career. I want to thank Dan Schneider for allowing me to play such a special, beautiful character who I hid behind for so long." Nowhere in this extremely long tweet did she mention Jennette McCurdy by name. Ariana spent most of this tweet describing her first identity crisis of her career. "What I mean by that is when I was younger, people loved Kat so much I used to pretend to be more like her. It took me a long time to be brave enough to separate myself and show people how different we actually are." And she capped off the statement with even more praise to the creator. "Thank you from the bottom of my heart to a true friend of mine, Dan Schneider. I will never take those memories or lessons learned for granted." I personally wonder if Ariana Grande would call Dan Schneider a true friend of hers in 2026. It seemed like Jennette McCurdy felt slighted by this whole situation and went on to make a satirical character based on Ariana named Gloriana in a web series titled What's Next for Sarah.
I am so beautiful. Holy dick balls. Sarah Bronson. I haven't seen you in like, I don't know, a week? Oh my god, I'm joining you. God, it has been such a long day. I've been to the facialist and the manicurist and the nutritionist. It's like, what even? Like, what is life like? I can't.
The Ariana parody character was vegan, extremely full of herself, and had a total disregard for Jeanette.
So, how have you been? What have you been up to now that your show's been canceled? That's a super bummer, right?
Yeah, it sucks. I've just been...
Anyway, I've been running around like a chicken with my head cut off, except not like a chicken because I'm vegan, obvi.
Oh, you're vegan?
Oh my god, I didn't tell you. It's like the biggest change in my life. It's like the best thing that's ever happened to me. I am so happy. Like, I'm doing so well. I have never been better.
Jeanette even added to the rumors that Ariana was a serial cheater. Perez Hilton tweeted about Jeanette's series, "Can I be in an upcoming episode? I can be Gloriana's obnoxious gay brother." Jeanette replied, "Oh my god, yes. Or Gloriana's boyfriend who gets cheated on 8 times. Ariana never directly spoke about Jeanette or Dan Schneider publicly ever again. However, a couple years ago, when the Quiet on Set documentary revealed the overwhelming amount of horrific claims against Dan Schneider, Ariana gave a perfectly vague response.
There's not a word for how devastating that is to hear about. And so I think the environment just needs to be made a lot safer all around. Like I said, I'm still in real time reprocessing my relationship to it. Now looking back on some of the clips, I'm like, that's damn, like really? And then the things that weren't approved for the network were snuck onto like our website or whatever it was. And that is another discovery. But going into it, I guess I'm upset.
Now, to be fair, nobody would expect her to divulge her own traumas to the world if she had experienced any. But also, her not getting into specifics about Dan or Jeanette shows her world-class PR training. Jeanette was just the first of many whistleblowers to accuse Ariana of being a completely different person behind the scenes. After she left Nickelodeon, Ariana gained a reputation for being a homewrecker. Following the end of her 3-year relationship with Graham Phillips, she briefly dated actor Christian Fortune after he appeared on Victorious in 2010. Years later, his ex-girlfriend Ricky Valentina accused Grande of stealing her boyfriend at the time. Then in 2012, Grande started a 2-year on-again, off-again relationship with Australian YouTuber Jai Brooks, who later accused Ariana of cheating on him with singer Nathan Skies. "Yes, I was cheated on. Yes, it does suck. Yes, I was left for another man," Brooks tweeted.
Those kinds of accusations being thrown at me are completely false and more than anything, just hurtful and shocking. But at the end of the day, I just would like to move forward and forget about it.
In 2014, Ariana grew close to rapper Big Sean, which was interesting because Sean proposed to actress Naya Rivera just a few months earlier. In her memoir, Naya recalls entering Sean's home and finding a little girl sitting cross-legged on the couch listening to music. Rivera revealed it was someone whose name rhymes with Smariana Schmonde. After the end of Sean's engagement in April of 2014, they were photographed together at the Grove movie theater in LA. The couple soon confirmed their relationship and were together for the next 8 months. And while relationship drama can be considered low-hanging fruit in the world of celebrity gossip, for Ariana, it's a core part of her girlfriend aesthetic persona. Majority of her multi-platinum selling music frames romance as intoxicating. She presents herself as irresistible and desired by men. Well, she often refers to them as boys, relating to her young fan base.
I said Break Your Heart Right Back is about a boy who cheats on a girl with a boy. I never said my ex cheated on me with a boy. That's not what I ever said.
Unlike other pop stars, she doesn't act like a boss babe, but rather emotionally vulnerable and attached to the man that she loves, which seems to change every other week. It's interesting because she appears to be deeply devoted to her partner, then out of nowhere she exits the relationship, drops a song, gets more famous, and moves on to the next one. And songs like My Everything, Love Me Harder, and Break Free highlight this cycle. And because of this pattern, it got easier for tabloids to catch Ariana in situations that painted her as an unhinged narcissist who felt free to take or do anything she wanted. Paparazzi and gossip blogs rushed to expose her as a diva and spread stories of unrealistic demands and frequent mistreatment of others. For example, some claim that Grande insisted on being carried like a baby by staff when she doesn't feel like walking. In another expose, an Australian photographer claimed that Ariana had a long list of demands when it came to being photographed, including refusing to be photographed from her right side or in natural light. He also claimed that she walked out midway through the shoot, and her team demanded that the photos be deleted. When he refused, the photographer said he was later approached by a member of the singer's security team who attempted to prevent him from closing the tailgate on his car as he stowed his equipment. And this story in particular started to become less of an unfounded rumor and more of a well-known character trait. A member of a camera crew shared that Grande was prone to throwing extreme tantrums if she didn't get her way. She demanded to be shot only on her left side and told the lighting crew that if they used red light, she would K herself. Now, of course, these could all just be rumors that are spread to try and take down one of the biggest emerging pop stars of the 2010s. But it's actually almost impossible to find an interview in the past 10 years where she isn't being shot on her left side, with the exception of when she is on talk shows and therefore has no control. Because that's exactly what this is about, control. Ariana doing everything in her power to control how the public perceives her, all the way down to choosing which side of her face you get to see. And even still, many might see these demands as standard for a pop star of her caliber. However, her disgusting behavior at a local donut shop in LA was inexcusable. On July 4th, 2015, Grande and 3 others visited Wolfie Donuts in Los Angeles, California. While waiting to be served, camera footage showed Ariana licking donuts on a display rack while an employee was not looking. Her backup dancer and boyfriend at the time, Ricky Alvarez, can also be seen licking several donuts. Moments later, Grande would make a statement that almost ruined her career. Now, before 2016, saying you hate America was actually a pretty controversial statement. Ariana did her best to save face, saying, "I am extremely proud to be an American, and I've always made it clear that I love my country. What I said in a private moment with my friend who was buying the donuts was taken out of context, and I'm sorry for not using more discretion with my words. With my new responsibility to others as a public figure, I will strive to be better." But in this statement, she did not address her licking the donuts that were intended for the sale and consumption of other customers. Slowly but surely, the cracks in Ariana's sweet and innocent image were starting to form. It only got worse when people started pointing out that her outward appearance was constantly changing as well, especially when it came to her choice of accent, makeup, and wardrobe, which made her look like different racial stereotypes. By 2016, Ariana Grande had successfully broken away from Nickelodeon. She had multiple Billboard charting songs and albums, including a summer love anthem alongside Nicki Minaj. Her vocal range set her apart from her peers, earning her comparisons to the legendary Mariah Carey, and for most of her career, she kept her background and ethnicity to herself. She only briefly discussed her Italian heritage, saying, "My nonna, grandmother, is the best cook in the world. We had Sunday sauce, the best marinara sauce ever. We had the Italian cookies and all that good stuff. Every Christmas she'd make zeppoli and spiedini and everything Italian." And of course, all of this is fine. It's not like anyone needs to know a performer's race or family origins, but Ariana started turning heads when her complexion noticeably darkened over time, most prominently during her 2016 MTV VMAs performance alongside Nicki Minaj. Her styling also included bolder contouring, fuller lips, long acrylic nails, hoop earrings, and streetwear-inspired fashion. But beyond the excessive tanning and style changes, Grande deliberately changed the way she spoke. It was such an extreme shift that even fans have referred to this as the Blackiana period.
Kill me, get your ass in here. Come on, girl.
Rumor mill for a second.
Girl.
What's the craziest? Has anyone said anything to you about Mac?
You know, I love my MAC lipstick. This is the MAC I'm here to talk about today, girl. Come on.
I'm like, that's my cookie, that's my juice, okay? Carry on. Thank you, next. That's what this baby picture says.
She changes her voice so often, I don't think she even knows her real voice anymore. This, compared to how she talks now, is wild. When she dropped her 2016 album, Dangerous Woman, it appeared that a new persona shift was upon us. She was no longer the sweet girl, and now a no-nonsense diva. However, this was her first and only album that did not reach the #1 spot on the Billboard Hot 200. Despite this, the album still became certified gold that year. It was decent in the opinion of her fans. Not her best, not her worst, but they definitely preferred the sweet and gentle girlfriend core Ariana. Lucky for them, she was about to dive headfirst into a new relationship with rapper Mac Miller. Unfortunately, that relationship would end tragically. Mac and Ariana first met in November of 2012. They collaborated on music and remained friends for several years before being spotted kissing at a restaurant in Encino, California in August of 2016. They made their relationship official that same month and made numerous public appearances together as a couple. Their chemistry was undeniable, and fans felt like they were soulmates. Mac Miller dropped an album called The Divine Feminine, which was somewhat of an ode to Ariana. This was also the first album he created while being 100% sober. Mac was making a real commitment to staying off drugs, and it appears Ariana made that easier for him. They did multiple live performances together, and fans absolutely adored them. Their eyes are literally sparkling. They were so in love. Mac was so high in love. Hope they end well in a parallel universe. Mac made a birthday post dedicated to Ariana that read, "Happy birthday to this adorable, pure soul who has reminded me what being happy feels like. Thank you for loving me so good." And after nearly 2 years together, no drama, and seemingly a perfect relationship, Ariana and Mac parted ways as a result of their busy work schedules. She wrote on IG, "I respect and adore him endlessly and am grateful to have him in my life in any form, at all times, regardless of how our relationship changes or what the universe holds for each of us." 72 hours after their breakup, US Weekly reported that Ariana and comedian Pete Davidson were spotted hanging out at the Saturday Night Live after party. That same night, he went to her apartment to hang out with mutual friends. Pete wore sweatpants and a t-shirt, while Ariana was coming from the Met Gala, so she was still dressed in her Sistine Chapel gown. Pete said, "At the end of the night, everybody left and then it was just me and her." And I was like, well, if there was ever a shot, it would be now. Go for it. Keep in mind that all all of this actually went down 2 days before Mac and Ariana had publicly announced their breakup. On May 18th, just 4 days after the SNL afterparty, media outlets confirmed Ariana and Pete were dating. That same day, Pete covered his tattoo dedicated to his ex. His tattoo artist said, "I told Pete, hey dude, let's just stop with the girlfriend tats until after Grande is your wife, because relationships come and go." Unfortunately, his advice went in one ear and out the other, as the new couple would get matching tattoos in the shape of a cloud. Pete even began engagement ring shopping shortly after meeting Ariana. "The day I met her, I was like, hey, I'll marry you tomorrow." Despite appearing to be absolutely infatuated with one another, many fans were unsettled by how quickly Ariana seemed to move on. 1 week after the breakup, Mac was arrested for DUI and hit and run after crashing his Mercedes-Benz G-Wagon into a power pole in the San Fernando Valley and fleeing the scene. A viral tweet reacting to the situation read, "Mac Miller totaling his G-Wagon and getting a DUI after Ariana Grande dumped him for another dude after he poured his heart out on a 10-song album to her called The Divine Feminine is just the most heartbreaking thing happening in Hollywood." Ariana responded, "How absurd that you minimize female self-respect and self-worth by saying someone should stay in a toxic relationship because he wrote an entire album about them." It's interesting that she described this relationship as toxic when it seemed the exact opposite. We would later learn that by toxic, she probably meant the toxic substances that Mac was putting into his body, because the reality is having a partner that is suffering from addiction is extremely unsustainable in the long run. Ariana said, "I'm not a babysitter or a mother, and no woman should feel that they need to be. I have cared for him and tried to support his sobriety and prayed for his balance for years, and always will, of course. But shaming and blaming a woman for a man's inability to keep his together is a very major problem." From there, Pete and Ariana posted nonstop on Instagram like two 15-year-olds on Tumblr, writing captions like, "I thought you into my life. You know what you'd dream it would be like? It's better than that. I am a Pete Davidson update account." On June 11th, 2018, just 1 month into their relationship, they announced their engagement, and Pete gave her a pendant of his late father's firefighter badge as he tragically passed away during the 9/11 attacks. Shortly after, Mac Miller dropped his album Swimming, which is an extremely beautiful and vulnerable piece of music about his sadness while dealing with heartbreak. Pitchfork wrote, "He's gone from you and me against the world to just me against the world. The furthest he'll go is acknowledging life was a lot easier with Grande than without her. She put me back together when I was out of order," he admits on Perfecto. Ariana dropped her album Sweetener just 2 weeks after Mac's album, which went #1 on the Billboard Hot 200, and literally had a song called Pete Davidson, showing just how infatuated she was with him. But then tragically, a few weeks after Ariana dropped her album, Mac Miller passed away from an accidental drug overdose. Immediately after, fans were blaming Ariana for Mac's death, essentially saying that the heartbreak, lack of support from her, and quickly moving on to Pete Davidson was a recipe for disaster. Now, normal adults understand that you can't blame someone's lifelong addiction on one girlfriend. Then again, when something like this happens, we tend to ask ourselves if we could have done more to prevent it. Mac's death marked the beginning of the end of Ariana and Pete's relationship, with TMZ reporting that she was emotionally paralyzed in the aftermath. Despite rushing the engagement, the ceremony didn't have the same urgency, as the summer passed without locking down a venue, buying a wedding dress, or even picking a date. About a month after Mac passed, Ariana called off the engagement and returned the $100,000 ring that Pete got her. While media outlets framed the breakup as mutual, it appeared to hit Davidson particularly hard. He canceled a scheduled comedy gig and was later photographed looking disheveled as he arrived at his mother's house days later. Shortly after, Pete returned to the stage in Los Angeles, reportedly joking about needing a new roommate, covering his Ariana-inspired tattoos, and people hoping he doesn't K himself. Meanwhile, Ariana was working on a new breakup pop anthem called Thank You Next. The song may seem toxic on the surface, but the lyrics are essentially her sharing positive memories and experiences about her exes. She sung, "And for Pete, I'm so thankful. Wish I could say thank you to Malcolm cause he was an angel." And even though these relationships ended up in heartbreak and tragedy, Ariana was cashing in big time, as this song was #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 for 7 weeks, which was her most successful song of her entire career up until this point. Thank You Next would also be established as the name of her album, with a song on there that was called Break Up With Your Girlfriend, I'm Bored, which was all the evidence her critics needed to confirm that she had been intentionally destroying relationships for her own benefit countless times in the past. And with all all this newfound success, she rolled out a new persona. Ariana has gone through so many changes like this that people have dubbed her a race bender, which is someone who changes their accent and appearance to make their art more acceptable to the public or purely for the sake of profit. In 2019, she made headlines for race bending once more, this time facing accusations of Asian fishing, a term used to describe when a non-Asian person alters their appearance, style, or mannerisms to appear East Asian or Asian influenced. The term was popularized as a response to the fox eye trend, in which people use makeup to make their eyes appear more narrow. Ariana infamously posted a photo showing her new Japanese tattoo, which was meant to reference her song Seven Rings. However, the poorly researched characters translated to small barbecue grill. A now deleted photo shoot went viral where Ariana looked unrecognizable, appearing pale with straight brows and pink lipstick reminiscent of Korean beauty trends. It was like she was soft launching a new prototype for her next personality, but decided against it after the image wouldn't sell. Her ability to turn on and off different personas was so apparent that you can literally hear her change her voice and demeanor mid-interview to appear more soft and sweet while talking about "Thank You Next."
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Of course, like with the "Thank You Next" hook, that's like one of my favorite stories, is Victoria, I was like obsessed with the chords. Like everyone was like, okay, this is like something.
And in that same year, Ariana was going to get another chance to change her image yet again, as she was going to transition from being a major pop star to being an A-list Hollywood actor. The only problem was, the more she stepped into this role, the more people started to question if she was seriously unstable. In November of 2021, Variety reported that Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande had been cast as Elphaba and Glinda in Universal's big screen adaptation of the Tony Award-winning musical Wicked. And this was a dream come true for Ariana. She had kept in contact with writers and producers for a decade and spent 6 months getting ready for the auditions. She even made a tweet in 2011 that read, "Loved seeing Wicked again. Amazing production. Made me realize again how badly I want to play Glinda at some point in my life. #dream role." Her preparation involved daily singing and acting lessons, all while she appeared as a judge on The Voice. She said, "I worked really hard with a vocal coach and an acting coach to get ready because Glinda's vocal track is very different than what I usually sing. It's very operatic and very classical, sort of coloratura, which is different from doing a falsetto and whistle tones. I wanted to sound authentic in singing opera, and I started 2 months before my first audition." Ariana auditioned 5 times for the role of Glinda because director John M. Chu was initially hesitant to book her. At the time, the director's concerns were valid since Ariana had never headlined a high-budget film with millions of dollars at stake. But ultimately, director Chu began to change his mind. I was like, Ariana Grande is a big name. That's a giant thing to put on Wicked, but there was no question every time she came in that you just wanted to see more of that. Unfortunately for Ariana, it didn't seem like she had much time to celebrate. She was about to face another scandal where she would once again be accused of ruining relationships for her own benefit. Leading up to the release of her long-awaited role in Wicked, People magazine reported Grande had separated from her husband, Dalton Gomez, after 2 years of marriage. I don't know why, but the announcement came as a shock to fans, who believed they were madly in love and seemingly inseparable. Gomez was a luxury real estate agent who began dating Ariana in January of 2020, and they announced their engagement 11 months later. So Ariana was taking this one slow. The couple were married at their home in Montecito, California. A source told People, "Dalton's entirely unfazed by the scope of her celebrity and is very grounding for her. He's young but mature and knows what he wants out of life." However, rumors of a potential split surfaced in August of 2022 after Ariana posted a TikTok without her wedding ring. Grande later clarified that the ring was being cleaned, insisting, "I'm not getting a divorce. Before you start, don't." Ariana then shared photos of herself and Gomez on Valentine's Day. Dalton responded to this post describing Ariana as his forever Valentine, while Ariana reshared it adding, "I love you." 3 months later, they celebrated their second anniversary with another Instagram post. But after she was spotted without her wedding ring and wedding band at Wimbledon on July 16th, TMZ confirmed the couple was heading for divorce. But the end of yet another relationship wasn't necessarily what shocked fans. It was that less than 72 hours after the public had learned about the end of her marriage, People reported that Ariana was dating her Wicked co-star and Tony-nominated actor Ethan Slater, who also weirdly looks exactly like her brother Frankie Grande. If the quick rebound wasn't weird enough, Slater had recently been in the press introducing his first child with his wife, Lily J. Lily J told Page 6 in an interview, "Ariana's the story, really. She's not a girl's girl. My family is just collateral damage." damage. Even TMZ revealed Ariana used to hang out with both Ethan and Lily while they were still a happily married couple, and even liked his Instagram tribute to Lily on Mother's Day in May 2023, which painted the picture that she was secretly plotting on their demise as a couple. It also didn't help when both Ariana and Ethan filed for divorce before moving in together weeks later. In response, insiders clarified that both couples were technically separated before Grande and Slater started dating, and tried to paint it as star-crossed lovers meeting on set. But critics looked at her as someone who broke up a marriage with a new child just because she was bored again. In her single, Yes and, she addresses the criticism surrounding her relationship, singing, "Your business is yours and mine is mine. Why do you care so much about whose dick I ride?" And in interviews, she kept giving these vague responses.
I feel like we don't need to go into any specifics, but of course there's like an insatiable frustration, inexplicable, hellish feeling with watching people misunderstand the people you love and you and anything.
Like the true pro that Ariana is, instead of confirming or denying any rumors, she basically just told everyone to listen to her new album and decide for themselves what is real or not.
I think it's the absolute worst idea. I'm so nervous. Well, because pieces of it touch on things that are real, and then pieces of it are also just like
a part of the concept.
Yeah, part of the concept. So what is that separation? And it's so scary to leave it up to these selective memory people to decipher. It's scary, but I digress. Too late. The vinyls have been printed.
However, nobody suffered more than Slater's ex-wife, who wrote an essay for The Cut detailing the sudden shift in her marriage. She described how it felt to endure the humiliation during the promotion for Wicked, as it was a haunting reminder of the saddest days of my life. If you haven't noticed a pattern by now, Ariana seems to get into relationships, more often than not with taken men, right around the time that she is promoting her newest project. The relationship drama makes headlines and keeps people talking, but even her fans couldn't defend her for being a homewrecker, so there was very little sympathy for her online. But that was about to change. By 2024, Ariana had fully immersed herself into the character as Glinda, which meant, of course, another image and voice change. She looked incredibly frail during press interviews. Her pale skin and considerable amount of weight loss made her look like an entirely different person. Plus, she had dropped her previous accent she was putting on for years and now opted for this new whimsical Old English type of cadence.
Because I really do think that there is, at the core, a good person who got lost along the way.
I had the incredible honor of going to the Givenchy atelier.
Oh, and then my therapist called, and then my gynecologist called, and I was like, oh my God, thank you. Can we celebrate over my next breast exam? Like, is everything okay? First of all, is everything good? And she was like, congratulations! And I was like, wow.
Now, some could argue this is just a version of method acting, but it goes deeper. Ariana and Cynthia developed a close friendship while working together on Wicked. Ariana said, "We talk a lot about this pact that we made to take care of each other and to be really honest with each other about anything that were to come up." She even went as far as reaching out to her co-star after receiving her contract. "I was like, hey, let's go through this thing, because if you need something, we need it together. I want us to have each other's backs. Like, your problems become my problems, and mine become yours." Cynthia felt similarly, and has referred to Grande as a family member for life, adding that their voices blended in a way that they didn't initially expect. But when we sing together, it just works, and that she and her co-star have cultivated a friendship that allows us to have these real, deep, connective conversations. It's almost like Ariana understands how deeply the press becomes invested in her personal relationships. However, normally it's with her romantic relationships with men, and the way the two describe their friendship is akin to a deep romantic relationship. But it was about to take a strange turn, because during promotional interviews for the film, the two would get overly emotional. The interviewer would ask a simple question, and Cynthia would appear to be wounded out of nowhere, and Ariana was right there to offer emotional support.
Watching Elphaba and seeing this character, you're not gonna tell me
Not the time, helicopter!
Without exaggeration, almost every interview in the Wicked press tour is like this. There are an endless supply of moments in interviews where both women held hands, embraced each other, or became overly emotional over simple questions about their time on set. It made the production of Wicked seem like an outer world trauma bonding experience, like the two had suffered tragedies you could never imagine when they were literally just singing on a Disney set.
It's also my first time ever doing a
You have been the light of the day. You are
truly-
such a gift.
You brought such light into the room. Thank you very much.
We appreciate
for coming
you.
into this room
Thank
today.
you.
We needed you to come in.
Yeah.
You're both beautiful. Thank you so much.
We love you. Thank
Have a lovely rest of
you.
your day.
You too.
Thank you, Pink News.
Thank you.
We love you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Over time, Cynthia also appeared to be overprotective of Ariana. Someone could be running by in a crowded area, a drink could spill on the floor, or somebody would reach out to shake Ariana's hand, and sure, some of them were inconveniences, but Cynthia always rushed to Ariana as if she might have to be taken to the hospital. If the goal was to make Ariana look like the sweet, innocent girl who suffered inconceivable tragedy to her fans, it worked. Meanwhile, the rest of the public had gotten tired of Ariana Grande and the publicity over the years. All of it just felt like one big meme, so they just made fun of her. They saw it as just another identity transformation for Ariana to sell whatever she is working on. Then again, following her Golden Globes appearance, fans praised her more natural look, commenting that she was looking like herself again, then joking that the Glinda cosplay is over, and calling it the best she's looked in years. Then again, her dedication to this role was objectively great for her career. Wicked earned $758 million at the worldwide box office and was a certified smash hit, also securing 10 different award nominations, including one for Best Picture. Wicked for Good also generated $500 million at the box office, but didn't exactly win over the Academy. The movie wasn't that great. The two have amazing on-screen chemistry, but spent the most of the movie apart, the voter said. They also expressed being completely turned off by their promotional performances, describing it as forced, and claimed that Ariana and Cynthia sucked the air out of any red carpet they were on, and no one wanted to go through that again. It's hard to pretend Ariana Grande is just an innocent bystander in her own controversies. There is this cycle or pattern that she goes through that has clearly benefited her career thus far. Get into a new relationship with a man who may or may not be single, dive headfirst into love and desire, write a bunch of love music, make a ton of money, start looking at other men on the market, which leads to the downfall of the current relationship, write some good heartbreak music, make a ton of money again, then break up and start the process all over again with a new boy. Multiple times we have seen her exit a long-term relationship, then start a new one in less than a week, which is not normal behavior. And when you literally release a song called "Break Up With Your Girlfriend, I'm Bored," it's no longer a coincidence. This is calculated branding. But the truth is, Ariana is not some anomaly. Hollywood has always profited off women's relationships and scandals. The difference is, Ariana doesn't wait to be exploited by tabloids. She controls her own story and profits off of it before anyone else can. And then she puts on this sweet, soft-spoken, and kind image to the public to shield her fan base from seeing this cycle for what it really is. It's her job, and her fans are genuinely clouded by the smoke and mirrors. So no, she's not necessarily a villain, she's just an expert strategist. In an industry that chews people up and spits them out, Ariana Grande didn't get eaten, she just learned how to play the game better than anyone else. However, not all stars are able to control their narrative like Ariana, like Katy Perry, who thought she had the entire world fooled, but the cracks in her facade ended up destroying her career. But check out this video if you want to hear more about that.